What made you want to do it on Twitch of all places? Like what kind of got you into that scene?
Um, obviously, since I do politics, I'm obviously a Destiny clone,
Yeah, of
as we
course.
all are.
Yeah.
Truly,
Every one of us.
he is the mother of the horde, basically. So
I've never heard it said like that before. Okay.
I mean, he spawned
True.
all of us.
True. Yeah.
It's
We are all
like,
the brood.
yeah, it's just like a Greek myth. You know, we all like Aphrodite spawned from the foam in the river.
Hey, that is fantastic. Let me get you full screen. Nice. A very happy birthday to you, sir.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. I'm a geezer now, basically. Very old.
Well, you don't want to know how old I am. I'm pretty much dead. I mean, I'm pretty much Roblox.
I mean, honestly.
I'm close to
When
the 40.
it comes to a political
going on
streamer.
30. I think I'm one of the oldest. How's it going? What have you been doing for your birthday? What's new and exciting?
I haven't been doing anything actually. I've just been at home. I think I've had a little cough, so I'm not sure if I am patient zero for COVID number 7,000. So I've just been chilling at home recently. And we kind of got snowed in. We got like 8 inches or something over like last night while I was sleeping. So
Okay.
I just decided let's just chill in the house today. And so I
Nice.
don't know. I've just been spending time with my family, and now I get to spend time with my frogs.
Aw. I was gonna ask you, where are you located? Like, you don't have, I just mean like the state. You don't have to be like.
Oh, you want me to dox myself? Okay,
Yeah.
I got you. Would you need my social security as well?
Yeah, we'll start with that.
I am in Kentucky. I'm in
Oh,
Kentucky.
cool.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, so I'm in
Yeah,
Vancouver,
thankfully
and
we
we're
didn't get hit
also.
with that tornado.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say, someone showed that to me at the start of the stream. That's like, it's forming, isn't it?
Can you say that one more time?
Oh, I said someone showed me at the start of the stream something about that, but it showed that it looked like it was forming, like it wasn't straight up a tornado yet, or is it an actual tornado going through that area?
Oh no, it was a tornado. Like it was a
Oh, okay.
100% touchdown tornado. It happened somewhere in western Kentucky around Bowling Green.
Oh wow.
If I remember correctly, it did take down a candle shop. We did a candle factory. We did a little story on it, and
Mhm.
basically what happened is that the workers said the manager said that they can't leave, and then they got hit with a tornado, and and a couple of people lost their lives there. It was pretty bad.
That's terrible. Why would they say they can't leave?
We got to work. We're making candles.
Ah, that's right.
I guess they were like, if you leave early, you can get fired. We can fire you. Now they said that allegedly, and for legal reasons, I will say the company officially said they disagree and that didn't happen. But
That's
you know.
horrible. Wow. One thing I was gonna ask you, because like I guess this is the first time we've ever talked. And if we were gonna talk about Twitch politics, I figured it'd probably be good to get a little bit of a feel for like what you're trying to accomplish through doing political streaming, or maybe how you got into it and stuff like that.
I'm my main goal obviously is to blow up and act like I don't know nobody.
Mhm.
But the second goal is to make people as insufferable as possible to their conservative friends and family. Honestly, that's what the main goal is. I got into like politics back in like 2018, somewhere around there, and I was forming myself politically, and I thought it was like really interesting and really fun. And the same way that I react or respond to videos on stream is exactly what I did back when I didn't stream. But now I just do it for people, and we get to talk about some things, and we get to research some things. And I think my main goal is to help push people in a better political direction, and also give them a little bit more like structure and foundation to their political beliefs, and make sure that they have a way to argue that effectively, clearly, and concisely to a bunch of people, because it's really important to get some good rhetoric down to make sure that you can talk to people pretty concisely, that you can swat away bad ideas, because the right basically runs off of rhetoric. So to be able to counter that is really important. And I guess like another thing that has come from that I didn't even think about before was the idea of being able to give people like the tools to be able to defend themselves, especially people from like marginalized communities, like lots of queer people. They've reached out and said that a lot of the ways that in which that I've argued for a lot of these points have helped them be able to defend themselves and their like humanity for people in their lives, like a transphobic like uncle or something, or some family members or some shitlords at work. And I think that's amazing as well. So
Yeah,
that's
that's
what I'm doing
super
here,
base.
and have some fun along the way.
Yeah. What made you want to do it on Twitch of all places? Like what kind of got you into that scene?
Obviously, since I do politics, I'm obviously a Destiny clone,
Yeah, of
as we
course.
all are.
Yeah.
Truly,
Every one of us.
he is the mother of the horde, basically. So
I've never heard it said like that before. Okay.
I mean, he is. He spawned
True.
all of us.
True. Yeah.
We
We are all
like,
the brood.
yeah, it's just like a Greek myth. You know, we all like Aphrodite spawned from the foam in the river. But I think it just seemed like a really good place. I always dual streamed when I started streaming. Twitch is obviously the place where, you know, you think of streaming. People stream on Twitch, and there's a community here, and we always love the culture and everything. And I think the internet culture here is really great, and you can reach out to a lot of people in that way. And so yeah, I think that's basically it. I mean, I started watching and watching a lot of political content that isn't like MSNBC, CNN, and like secular talk back then, and I got started with watching a lot of like old Destiny content, and then like Zan and Vosh came around, and that kind of like took me more in like that direction. I thought that was like really interesting, so I took a lot of like ideas from them, but I think like it's more of like a mishmash of a lot of different creators that I used to watch that I like respect. Like I really love to say that I take a lot of my debate, the way in which I debate, from like David Pakman. I think that he debates like it's incredible. I love watching Deepak debate. He's it's more like, instead of like you walking someone down, it's like give them enough rope to hang themselves, and they always do, and it's always great.
He does have a calmness to him that I don't think I could ever achieve, considering some of the conversations that he has. I would think he would become a lot more like irate or angry at any given time, but he's got this kind of like demeanor where he's like you said, he's able to kind of like extract stuff from the person he's talking to through that method.
Well, yeah, I don't even know if he has it in him to get mad. I don't think I've ever seen him get mad. He's been frustrated, but I've never seen that man mad in my life.
That's true, actually. That's weird to say, because like I think of so many streamers where I've seen them like screaming and like throwing things and smashing keyboards and stuff like that.
Going offline, guys.
Yeah.
You know, I can't do that. I don't get too mad. I really don't get that mad that often. I get frustrated with people, but I don't get like that mad. I think I can get a little snippy, but I don't think I've ever like gotten to like a real big screaming match, unless it's just funny. And then I can do. I was talking. Like, other than that, you know, I really don't get that mad. I don't know. I don't have it in me. Yeah, I don't get mad. I just go Joker mode, basically.
Okay.
Yeah, two modes: normal and Joker, basically, as any male Zoomer should.
And you're at this point, you're pretty like connected to everything, right? Like I've seen you on the Hippy Dippy giving the commentary near the end, and you've done the rounds and all the panel shows and stuff like that. So you've got a feel, I guess, for Twitch politics now, for like the broader Twitch politics universe.
Yeah, I've been around the block. I think I've been on just about every panel that there is for someone who's hosted a panel. I was on City Cat's panels back in the day, Stardust old panels back when she was like much smaller. I was on a Hans panel, Heem's panel, Prime and Dylan's panel. So I think I've just about made the rounds for just about everybody who's on panel. So yeah, I've been around for a while, and I've watched a lot of political content. So obviously since about late 2018 to now.
Do you like when you were saying that part? Sorry, I know this is turned into an interview rather than a convo. I was just trying to get to know you better. When you were talking about people saying that you're a clone of this creator or that creator, is that something you actually like deal with a lot just because you're in Twitch politics, where people are like, oh, you're a VGG stan, oh, you're a Hassan stan, or you're a Destiny fan or whatever?
I think when people like found out about me, I got a lot of oh, you're like Vosh, but you're less annoying. You're so cool. And that was really funny. Or like, you're like Hassan, but you seem smarter. You're cool. I like you. I think the best one, I got a lot of Black Vosh back in the day.
Okay.
Yeah. But when we all know that's like really untrue, because Vosh is white shark. That's just anybody knows that.
True.
But I think my favorite
True.
one back in the day was, well, two. One where someone was like, "Look at those glasses, bro. That's so much cope. You're just like you're trying to be like Vosh, and it's cringe." And it was I was wearing these glasses specifically in the video, so they were
Did
just
it?
like, "You wear glasses, Vosh clone." That
Okay.
shit was incredible. That was so funny. And someone commented, I remember this, and I'll never forget it. They were like, "You're like if we took Vosh and Hassan and blended them, poured it out into a mold, and then toasted it. And I love it.
Wait, who
And
said
you're
that?
great." It was just some random chatter. It
Oh.
was just some random YouTube commenter, and they're like, you're like the toasted blend of Vosh and Hassan." And I was like, "I'll take it. All right."
Yeah, I think there's probably a lot of compliments in there as well as some other things I don't fully understand. But it seems like they're trying to be nice, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
We we all like to express in our own personal way, you know.
Yeah.
It's the thought that counts.
um, yeah, I don't know. Like the same thing for me when I was like first on Twitch. It would always be like, oh, so which camp do you fall into? Are you part of the Hassan camp or the Destiny camp or all that kind of stuff? And then I think that's probably something everyone deals with though, right? Because like at a certain point, if I'm talking to someone else, they'll be like, oh, this is just like a Destiny clone or this is just that clone. I think everyone's trying to carve out their own like, I don't know, their own little voice or space though. I'd like to think anyway.
So I'm not sure if other people have described it like this, but I've started to describe it like this: that Vosh, Destiny, and Hassan are all act like basically like big brothers for all of
Mhm.
the other like smaller streamers. And I've seen like a lot of people who say they're in like the camps or whatever. They like follow behind in like some way. Also, sorry, like my plant lights just went off, so
Oh,
we
I was
switched
like, that's
everything.
wild. Do you have mood lighting based on like hand movements or what? I didn't know what happened there. I was like, that's really
Now that
cool.
would be really cool if I do like
Yeah,
a certain hand movement. I can
yeah.
do like, you know, LED jutsu. That would be really fun. But no, my I have automatic plant lights that just turned off.
Oh,
They do
okay.
at like 6:14 around
Okay.
around that time.
Gotcha.
Um, but yeah, they kind of act like little like big brothers where people kind of like, oh, they did it, so now I can kind of do it. Like they like
Mhm.
test the waters, right? And any like younger sibling or any like middle child would know like the big brother, he like gets in trouble and you're like, okay, I can't do that. Or they are able to get away with it and you're like, okay, that's good. Like they
Oh,
pull stuff like
now I
that.
get it.
And
Yeah, yeah,
Hassan's more
yeah.
of like the estranged one. He moved out of the house. All
Mhm.
right. So he's doing his own thing like across the country, but you know, you still talk to him every now and again. He calls.
Yeah, you see him in the news, and you're always happy for him too. You're like, oh, that's good
Oh
for
yeah.
him. That's cute.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
I'm
I
happy.
mean, I just think like obviously if you have a bunch of people who do similar things, people are going. We love to categorize things as like human beings.
Mhm.
So if we can get an easy
Clean up your room.
categorization, split it down the middle, and go, this is the DGG side, that's the VGG side, and then everybody else is a different flavor of that. All
Mhm.
right, and then we get to then. I mean, you know, we have two as a political streamer, we have two genders, DGG or VGG, and so
It's
you know
which way
you can be
streamers.
a non-binary there if you want to, but you know.
I was gonna say, by the way, if you hear notifications pop up, those are for some reason when I reroute my stuff through Discord, it makes the pop-ups happen, but I'm not pushing like sound buttons or anything like that.
Oh, you're fine.
Okay. What I was total sidebar. Did you see that viral clip that's going around right now of a police officer washing Vosh in the cop car?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what more definitive proof you need that Vosh is CIA. I mean, that cop was obviously getting his orders
Yeah.
from Vosh. He was basically, I would imagine he was like executing Order 66 or something.
Yeah.
That's
In the process
something
of.
along those lines.
I was gonna ask, what's your take on that though? I've had people all day popping in my chat being like, "Oh, we have to get down to this." I was like, "Well, I mean, it could be doctored, it could be real. I don't know. I have no idea what's happening here. Even if they are
I like
watching,
to
I
believe
don't.
it's real.
Yeah, well, I will for the time being anyway.
Oh, I think honestly, I think that there are that there are. I mean, as much as we like to pretend, cops are like they are like kind of normal people. Like
Oh
after
yeah,
a
yeah.
lot of them are like after they leave, they have their own things, and
Mhm.
after they clock out, they like do their own stuff. So I wouldn't imagine that there's like even like a decent amount of police that watch political Twitch in like some way, shape, or form. So it doesn't surprise me that there's some cop out there that watches Vosh. It does surprise me that while they're on the job,
They're
with their little
driving
laptop,
and
they pull up a Twitch stream and they're like,
Well, that was the part where I was like, I don't know, because like it's a 6-second clip, and I was like, you could alter the footage too, but I was like, nah, this could be real. I don't know. I was like, I just want to know the story behind it. But yeah, I'm surprised to see cops driving and watching streamers at the same time. I didn't know.
I've seen cops do like all sorts of stuff on their little computer. Right there, they're like, they love, for one, cops love two things while they're in their car: speeding and texting and driving. Those are two things that like police officers love. So
and
yeah,
turning on the lights and sirens to go through like red lights and then turning them off right away after.
Oh yeah, like 100%. Like they're just like, I'm tired of this red light. I'm just gonna use my cop privileges. To everyone's like, oh my gosh, he's going to do something, and then they just kind of coast and turn the corner.
Turn off
like,
right off.
Later, guys.
Yeah. Okay, well, I guess that brings us to the big thing, because I saw you making some tweets about how Twitch politics are, kind of changing, I guess, to put it lightly. I don't know.
BreadTube is rotting.
BreadTube is rotting as well. Yeah, we gotta talk about that too. I mean, well, it's all CIA funded, right? And that money runs out eventually. Obviously. So yeah,
Caleb
that's a big
Maupin,
problem.
Burger King.
I was like, I can't wait till he finds that footage of Vosh. That is going to validate his entire world theory. It's going to be like, yes, I was right all along. Yeah.
He's gonna write another book about it.
I know, BreadTube 2, how Vosh controls the police. He's the police whisperer.
The police whisperer, I love it.
But yeah, like I want to explore that, because like you were one of the first people I saw kind of like, making tweets just out that like, you kind of getting worried, I guess, about maybe either the direction that it's headed, or I don't know. I don't want to put words in your mouth. Maybe you could explain it.
Yeah, so I mean, and I've been seeing this for a while. I mean, I think a lot of us come from more like edgy gamery space. A lot of us have. So obviously, gamers, we are oppressed. I like to say, like, while I'm here, I'm part of like one of the most oppressed groups on the internet, a gamer, and we get a bad rap. I mean, the slurs, the misogyny, the slurs,
not all gamers, not all
xenophobia. So yeah, I obviously, if you move from there, you're going to be taking with you some like problematic views and thoughts from as you're moving. You don't unlearn everything overnight. It's just you just can't do it. And honestly, I think sometimes people kind of forget that your general public, if on like a lot of like social and even economic issues, especially the things that we talk about, they're kind of bad at it. And they held some like pretty bad views. I remember like I was hanging out with some of my friends earlier, and we were at his dad's house, and great guy and everything. He's very open and welcoming and everything. He's not a bad person.
Yeah.
There was my friend brought up, we were obviously telling each other Tinder stories, as boys do. And he brought up this one like non-binary person that he met, and then as he was telling the story, the dad chimed in, because he was getting at like this person was female but didn't identify as woman, and he was like, oh, was she? And then you drop the like T slur, but I highly doubt he even knew that was a slur. And honestly, when I started streaming, I didn't think it was either.
Mm-hmm.
But that's like something that you learn. So obviously that's a lot of stuff there. And obviously when you get streamer brain, you get into like and you don't want to like back down and look stupid in front of your chat and everything, and then you go into your hug box and they reaffirm like almost all of your views, then you can like dig your heels in and hunker down and be like, hey, whatever. And then we start to pick up some right-wing tendencies. Oh my gosh, it's the cancel culture. Oh my gosh, everyone's so sensitive. Oh, it was just a joke. And you pick up all of these sorts of stuff and things because it's easy. Like right-wingers don't do it just because it's in their blood. I mean, there's no like logical fallacy like gene right next to the chug beer and abuse wife gene. It's easy rhetoric to defend yourself against like a lot of criticism, especially when you think you're in the right.
Yeah, I'd say that all of that is true. In terms of the like the cancel culture stuff, do you think that is that a prominent thing that's happening? Like, okay, let me talk about the first part about that first, because I definitely agree that all of us, if our goals are to convince more quote unquote normies that, this may be a bad thing to say the T slur, for example, that we go about it the wrong way a lot of the time. Like, I think there is, especially on the left, a very quick rush to like instant condemnation. Like in the story you just told, the person who used the slur, like the second it came out of their mouth, it was like, oh, this person is no longer worthy of my time. This person is lost. They're an alt-right scumbag or something like that, right? I think that there is a tendency to jump at that and very, very quickly, rather than like the person wasn't maybe doing it with malice, or maybe in the case like you described, they didn't even know that it was a slur in that case, right? But then what would be the next like step? Like for you, were you like, oh, okay, so I just want to tell you that like that's an antiquated term, it's not used as much anymore, or just like let it slide kind of thing?
For me, in a case like that, I do think people. I mean, here's one thing, okay, that people need to think about a little bit, because I feel like people kind of forget. Like, it's fun and everything to talk about these politics and stuff, but for a lot of
Mhm.
these like people in marginalized groups, you don't escape it. This is your life. You like arguing for your humanity or arguing for like civil rights. They don't choose to be a part of these like political discussions. They just are, because society decided that now their humanity is up for like debate, or their civil rights is up for debate, right? So
Yeah.
when we go into these arguments, you need to remember, even though they can be like fun or interesting or just like something that we do in our spare time, for them we're juggling with people's lives. We're juggling with people's family, with their mental health, with their physical health, with their lives. They can end up on the street. So I'll never get mad at someone who gets like really really snippy over something that's really foundational to their to their being, because I mean, just imagine you do that with anybody else and you start arguing, I don't know, brown people really just don't deserve to be able to use the banks or something, or some shit like that,
Yeah.
or like everyone with brown hair is a child abuser or something, right? It's just, you can imagine, when you put it in that way, that you can understand how you start to get a little snippy there, right? For me personally, though, when we're in like a political movement, I think that you should probably do two things, which is either you have to kind of, I don't want to be like you got to get over it, but you kind of got to get over it, or leave. And I don't think either is like necessarily bad, and I wouldn't condemn someone for taking either path. If not everybody is built for this sort of stuff, it's just bad for their mental health, and I wouldn't want them to continue doing this if that was the case. Just go on, try and find like a nice group of friends, engage with this sort of stuff like very marginally, but don't get into it. You're only going to be hurting yourself, and leave that to other people to be able to do that, because not everybody can, and not everybody should. But when we're in this group, I think we should prioritize making sure that we do the best thing possible to get the most amount of people on board possible, to get the most people to get this the fundamental core ideas down as possible, because when I think you start to build like a nice foundation, it's easier for them to build like a castle of an ideology for something that will like stand and will like lead to other good things happening, right? Because
Mhm.
I think if you don't do that at all, and we can probably talk about that a little bit when it comes to people like switching, like swapping from like being like a fascist or something, and like, oh my gosh, now I'm like a commie. It's, you can have the castle, right? You can
Yeah.
even have like some good ideas, but the foundation is sand.
Yeah.
And so it can easily erode, and that can lead you to other problems as well, even falling back and regressing into a lot of like conservative ideals and arguments in the way that you go about like topics and discussions. But I think really, I don't want to get mad at them, because I can understand how important it is. But I feel like if you really think that you're that person, I would really want you to disengage,
Mhm.
because that's obviously harmful to you, and it's
Yeah.
not the best for this type of movement.
I totally agree with you. Like, it's a really hard thing to explain to people what it's like to have like, just like thousands of strangers like hate you, even though they've never met you or things like that. Like, I don't know if humans are used to dealing with that kind of stuff prior to like, being on social media, where you do get sometimes amplified in the way you do. And I totally agree with you in the sense that like there should be like people should take consideration of their mental health first and foremost. Please don't like get involved in these kind of things. I also worry though that like sometimes, and I know the stereotype, whether it's RedTube or whether it's Twitch politics, we end up with just like debate panels of like, you know, predominantly cis white guys debating about whether or not trans people's pronouns are valid or something like that, right? And it would obviously benefit greatly to have maybe more trans people involved in that kind of a discussion, but oftentimes things turn so like aggressive and spicy because that's the way this whole system is set up, right? Like people want to watch people yell at each other. They want to see panels with people screaming at each other and you know that kind of stuff, that it oftentimes becomes maybe a hostile environment to someone who already, like you just mentioned, is marginalized just by virtue of existing in their everyday life. So maybe they don't want to participate in these kind of environments. So sometimes I wonder, like, is the solution to that to create more alternative spaces where it's like, you know, we're going to have a panel, but you shouldn't necessarily just like call people the worst things you can get away with in TOS? Or is it that people in general in just the actual spaces we already have need to start acknowledging that more? Like, I don't really know what the solution to that is, which is why I'm trying to just orate it, you know, and if I say it out loud, we can start to process some of these things, I guess.
Sure. Yeah, no, I think, I mean, even people who, I mean, when you have like a hard day at work or something, you want to be able to go home and just kind of chill, right?
Yeah.
You want a space where you can just kind of chill out. And we can call that a safe space if you want, or we can call it like whatever we want, right? But obviously, everybody, when we get into this type of stuff, wants a place where you can just kind of not have to worry about these things. And I think it would be 100% great to have some places where we're not constantly debating on whether or not you should be counted as a human or something. I think that would be very good for people, especially when it comes to them sticking around and being a part of this community and helping push for things. And I mean, hey, I know a little bit about that. What, like, recently we've been there's just like white people arguing with other white people about whether the N-word is an actual slur. It's just it's truly a sight to behold from anybody outside, and honestly most people inside. It's a sight to behold what goes on in this community sometimes. So yeah, I can think it can like push it. It can like push some people out, and I feel like we get a little streamer brainy, honestly, and not like, remember, hey, you know, these we're talking about actual people here. We need to have like a little bit of we need to have like better bedside manners when it comes to some of these things, right? And I don't think it's like you need to baby these people. I think it's more like you need to like understand and acknowledge that the way in which you like argue about these certain things will like lead people to not really want to be a part of this group, because once again, most people just want to vibe. I highly doubt most people, like most people even in this space, would like to oh, here we go, here goes another transphobic argument. You know, they kind of just want to chill, honestly.
But like the thing being that chill itself isn't what really incentivizes views on Twitch, though, is the other aspect of that, right? Because there's always going to be that element where people will gravitate towards drama or controversial discourse or whatever. And I'm not absolving myself of that. Like I'm as guilty as anyone else, right? Where you're like all of a sudden you're in the middle of a topic and like you look down and it's like, hey, I just went from 400 viewers to 700 viewers. Why is that? Oh, it's because I'm talking about X. And so that in some ways pushes us towards that. So I think it's always about striking that balance between the two, between whether or not we're talking about things that are inherently maybe a necessary conversation to have, but at the same time, it doesn't really make it safe for people who maybe aren't as used to being in such a competitive space. I don't know. Well, like, what is your overall feeling? Sorry, you can answer the first part I said too, but I also want to know what's your overall feeling for, because you said that like most people want to vibe. I agree with you. I think like the overwhelming majority of streams are just chill, right? It's people doing chill things or laughing at videos or reacting. It's not like, you know, everyone turns on the camera and now I'm going to rant for like 4 hours or something like that.
Yeah, I think, and here I kind of I'm kind of like boohoo a little bit for some content creators who are like, I mean, I'll do this and I'll do that. If I can like take a mic from PA and be like, I can tell people to organize and I'll have 50 viewers, or I can like do this and that and I'll like have 300. For me personally, a long time ago, back when I think I was averaging 13 average viewers, I turned off my view count, and I have no clue how many people are watching me at any given point in time. And then after like 2 days or something, I'll go back into the back end and then check how many views we had, and then I'll like analyze what we were doing here and what we're doing here to give viewers to come, to give viewers to go, type things, right?
But
I have to
you
tell
never
you,
let yourself get high because of the view count, is what you're saying.
no, yeah, I don't want to change because of
That's
the view
smart.
count. Like,
That's
think
very
of this for a
smart.
second.
Yeah,
Why?
that's smart.
Why are you looking at the view count? What?
I'm not consistently
You
looking
think,
at the view count, but it's one of those things where people in your chat will start to be like, "Holy shit, there's like 1K viewers right now," because you're in the middle of like
yeah.
arguing with someone, and you're just like, "I'm trying to ignore you. I'm trying to concentrate on what we're talking about."
Yeah, I mean, you can see that type of stuff, but I would love for people to kind of just like throw that away. Like, it doesn't really matter. Like, you could just be
Mm-hmm.
sitting there doing almost nothing, and not something random could happen, and then a bunch of people just kind of come in and do that type of stuff. But I think like you shouldn't do that, because you don't want to change the way in which you don't want to change like who you are, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because and also for your mental health as a content creator, you're going to give yourself a lot of stress if you just YouTubing in and of itself, like this video did well, this video did bad, and then you can be like, oh my gosh, what's happening, is this over, right? But you can get that like instantly when
Oh,
it
of
comes to
course.
you watching your view count. And honestly, I there's very little that you're going to do that will like make a bunch of people more like stay more or leave, and then you'll be like stressing yourself out and faking it more, and then you'll get more and more disconnected from like who you are, and you can find yourself like burning yourself out more. I think so in regards to like education and entertainment, I think it's vitally important to strike a good balance of both. If you remember like some of the most important people that we know, right? Let's say when it comes to like science or something, like Bill Nye,
Mm-hmm.
Neil deGrasse Tyson, or Kyle
Carl
Hill,
Sagan.
if anybody watched Because Science, they give you a lot of information, but it's also like really interesting as well. And they give it in a way in which you want people to like watch more. They want to watch more. They think this is interesting. So I think if you're a content creator and this is your job, and you're like, man, I do something important and nobody even cares, you're doing it wrong. You're doing it wrong. There's now I think there's some topics that just won't get as many views as others, but I think you should do the best you can to make this entertaining as well as educational. And even if you don't get as many views, I think it's like really you should you it's fun to have those days where we have 10 quadrillion average viewers while we're laughing at the 7,000th Ben Shapiro video. And
Mm-hmm.
honestly, if you have like 50 and you're talking about something really important and you get those 50 engaged in their local city council, you could do both. If you don't have many viewers now, do the thing that gets you a lot of views tomorrow. It's fine. It's okay.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. That's I'd say that's the first like really good prescription that I could take out of this conversation that I should tell people. Is just like maybe we should just all get rid of looking at your view count. So that's not what dictates everyone's concerns.
It only
Um,
makes you sad.
yeah,
Like
that is true.
it can hype you up for a couple minutes, but honestly, it will only make you sad in the long run. Just
Yeah.
turn it off. Don't look at it.
Well, it's like any other dopamine feed, right? It's just all of a sudden. That's like I consider the same thing with how people get pulled into Twitter battles endlessly because they're just constantly like, "Wow, this person got 20 likes on that last response, so now I have to try and
Did I ratio them? Did I ratio
Yeah,
them?
yeah,
Did they ratio
yeah.
them?
You fell off plus ratio? Oh shit, it's not ratioing.
Yeah.
God damn, why did I say that? This is more embarrassing.
I
For
know
me now.
people listening. Okay, you guys have seen Twitter, like Twitter back and forths, and then what you do instead of really looking at the arguments, you're looking for who ratioed who, and then you go
Yeah,
down. You're like,
true.
okay, where do the ratios start, or where do the ratios flip? All right, that's what you're looking for to figure out who's dunking the most. All right, it's less about like the arguments. What's that like? How hard did they get ratioed? Okay,
Yeah.
and it's just ridiculous.
No, it's true. Do you think there's more things that big creators can be doing to kind of uplift smaller creators, especially as they're starting out? Because one thing that I noticed, because there's been kind of like I've been in Twitch for a couple of years now, so I've found there's kind of like these waves, and there's now been this newer wave where there's all these up and coming creators, and I found a lot of the larger creators are kind of just worried if again it goes back to the tribalism, like, well, what if that person is part of this community? What if this person is part of this community? What if this person is specifically about that community and nothing else, right? So is there more things you think that like mid-sized and larger creators can be doing?
Honestly, I think it's less about that, because this is not something unique to us.
Mm.
This is something that's well known throughout all communities. I think one specifically is like the commentary community, especially if you get like an idea from a smaller creator and then you're like, oh well, look at this. The one thing that I can remember is some people remember this, like PewDiePie and ER. Like PewDiePie made a video, and then, because for some people who don't remember, PewDiePie made a video and he shouted out a couple of people. One person was some person who went by like ER, and they're
E
like an
semicolon R.
anti-Semitic. Yeah, and they're like an anti-Semitic goddamn Nazi in their spare time, and obviously he got a lot of blowback for that. And honestly, I mean, boosting Nazis, I gotta say, kind of cringe. So I can understand,
Yeah.
and I think people more likely than not, other than it thinking of, oh well, whose camp is this person going to come from? I think it's more like, am I going to boost this person, and then later they're going to be like a reprehensible human being, and then I'm going to be like held, and then now I'm going to feel like guilty for um helping make their career, and now they're off doing their like villainy or something
So
across
so
the
is it
nine
that
realms
you
of the internet.
feel, do you feel that like people should just have to come up on their own so they can prove themselves, that there isn't like, because
So
one criticism I know a lot of people levy at like Hassan, for example, is that he's just like he's unavailable to anyone who's underneath like 5 million subs or something like that, right? Whereas like the thing that is genuinely true about Destiny is that he will interact with people who are infinitely smaller than him, just because he loves to argue with people online, right? So in which case, like, is there a problem with larger creators just simply like cutting off everyone below them because they think like, well, you know, I shouldn't chance it because they could turn out to be the future Nazis?
yeah, I think we can, when it comes to this, I think it's best to just kind of do your research a little bit. You know,
Mhm.
you don't have to be shouting like 50 trillion people out every single stream or something. Just if there's someone that you think is really interesting, take a couple minutes, like look through. I'm a streamer. Okay, I've been a streamer for like 2 years. You're not that busy. You're not, especially if you have an editor. You're not that busy. Okay, I know you're not. You can take 30 minutes to scroll through someone's like backlog and like just skip through a couple of videos and see if they're insane. Okay, you're not that busy. You can do it. Stop waking up at like 2 p.m. You're not that busy. All right. So I think there's like a fine balance between letting literally any scum lord crawl onto your platform and spew garbage and never stalking to anybody. Is just be just a little bit more responsible. Just be a little bit responsible with your platform. See who you're bringing on. And obviously you can't do everything, but I think you should handle it as responsibly as you can. And I think that's the best that you could do, because I think it's really important to be boosting up some other creators, especially like here in BreadTube. And I mean, it's been a little white, personally. Okay, and listen, I have
Wonder
no
Bread
problem
too.
with white people. Okay, I love white people. My last girlfriend was white.
There you
It's,
go.
you know, no problem at all. I love them, but we're lacking some perspectives and everything, and I think it's great to be able to lift up those types of people whose voices haven't been, who haven't been represented in a lot of these discussions.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really noble thing to do. And I mean, I thank you all the time for back when I was like much smaller. I remember you had me, you were playing a video of me at the beginning of your stream, right? You may not
No,
remember
I
it.
was gonna say I have, but I was like, I wasn't setting this up for like, oh, and thank you, finally we've gotten to the compliment now. but, no, yeah, like I've tried to do that where I usually start streams with like other people's content for better or for worse, but I also have had the problem of what you just described, where some people down the road turned out to be a little bit like, this was one of those situations. Not that I hadn't done my research. I know I'm like, oh well, you just called this out, but it was that they hadn't really developed into what they would yet, and so it was kind of like I played one of the earlier videos, and then down the road they ended up making some kind of sketchy stuff. But for the most part, yeah, I agree with you with BreadTube. I think one of the things with BreadTube that contributes to that problem is that like really early on when I was first getting into YouTubing, I really liked T1J, the janitor, and I was starting to tell people, I was like, oh, I found this creator, I like him, he's got a really good video on Sam Harris that kind of like, you know, resonates with me. And then a lot of people were like, well, he's a lib. Like, don't include him in BreadTube. BreadTube is supposed to be leftist, libs are not allowed, right? And I found that happens quite a bit, not just with like, you know, say black creators, but just like in general. Sometimes when I introduce people to a creator, and it's even someone who's remotely not like I've read all of the theory, like I live off theory, then they'll simply reject them as not a part of it. But like, I think you're losing out on a lot of really good content then, because like, you know, T1J has some like really good videos on some topics that other people haven't touched, right? So just because he's not like, I don't know, let's end capitalism tomorrow, comrades kind of stuff, doesn't mean that I think you should just like throw out his catalog kind of shit.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing. I mean, I don't know if it's like they haven't been like they've been burned too many times by liberals or something, or they I don't know, they've used the word liberal as a pejorative like one too many times. But
Hmm.
hey, listen, you're gonna need like some libs. I mean, it's important to like build a coalition with
Yeah.
with people who are at least somewhat like-minded. And so I don't think that we should be throwing away everybody, especially since I've seen like a lot of libs do a lot of great work and push towards socialism, whether they know it or not, or whether they care or not. And so like it doesn't really matter, right? And to me personally, I'm not sure how you thought about this, but when I heard the phrase breadtube originally, I thought that that was just like any left-wing creator, and it was like a joke on conservatives because they think everybody who's to the left of them are communists. And I thought that was the joke, oh, we're breadtube because we're just left-wing, and that's just it. But I
Oh,
mean,
for bread
some
lines or
people
something like
think
that.
differently. Say again.
Oh, for bread lines or something like that. Like that's where they were getting the name.
Yeah, like
Ah, okay,
yeah.
okay. Yeah, yeah.
So I thought like I thought that that's what it was. Apparently, people think that it's now like mostly socialist. I honestly still think like if you're like a left wing creator, I'm gonna use that term because I like it better. It's it,
Mhm.
it's funnier. It's funny that, oh, we're bread tube just because all conservatives think everybody to the left of them are communists, but some of us are also communists. So
Yeah, I like that. That's funny. Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think you have to do that. Like I got really upset when everyone basically condemned Joe Rogan for endorsing Bernie Sanders, because I'm someone who hates Joe Rogan. I just like I've made a career out of trying to pick apart Joe Rogan's arguments. But if someone as huge as Joe Rogan is going to say, "Hey, go vote for Bernie Sanders," that to me is something like I think that's one of the biggest problems or obstacles I see, even in like online or Twitch politics, is that people aren't willing to look at what is the greater purpose, or like what are you ultimately trying to achieve, right? Like is it better for you in the moment right now to get the condemnation of like he's a transphobe, and he is. Joe Rogan is a transphobe and he should be called out for that. Or at this moment, is there more utility to saying, hey, if his millions of fans who listen to him as if he's their, I don't know, the tap out
Messiah.
daddy, yeah, Messiah, whatever you want to call it, at that point, if they're suddenly like, oh, Bernie Sanders is a good thing, if they look into Bernie Sanders and his views and they think, hey, maybe I'm going to vote for this guy, maybe they'll come across the fact that Bernie Sanders is very pro-trans rights or something to that effect, right?
Yeah, I think I haven't been seeing I've been seeing people like fall into this trap a lot. Listen, two things can be true. A bad someone can be a bad person, and also a bad person can do a good thing.
Yeah.
Like those two things can be true. Someone can be really cringe, someone can be kind of like kind of bad, but they can
Hmm.
do like a good thing, or someone cannot be, pretty neutral and then do a good thing or do a bad thing. We can hold these two positions, Like if two people are going at it and they're both bad people, but one is right on this issue and the other one isn't, I'm gonna be like, critical support in this particular argument for this person. But
Yeah.
and then you can be like, hey, obviously, they have a lot of problems, but on this issue specifically, they're pretty good. Yeah, people are fallible. People can be wrong. A lot of normal people don't have like a set like hard ideology. It's just kind of a mishmash, unstructured amalgamation of just their experiences, which lead them where they are, disconnected and unsynchronized. And if they said it all out loud, it would probably be completely incoherent. But they're still people and they still have like opinions, and that matters a lot, and you can reach them. They're not like stupid. Honestly, more likely than not, you are, or you were, that type of person, and you just happen to be here now.
That sounds like the I don't like labels kind of thing too. Which, to be honest, I kind of like. You're right. Most people think like you're gonna fall into like that one dot on the political spectrum in like one of the corners or something, where it's more like a web. Like you can have people who believe so many things, and then on top of that, they're like, oh yes, and on top of everything, I want to lower the age of consent. And you're like, wait, what? No, like you were making so much sense up to that point, sir. What? How did we get here?
Yeah, I mean, people don't spend all their time like doing this. We're the nerds, okay? We're the
Yeah,
weird ones, not
we're the
them.
terminally
Like they're
online.
they're busy like living. I mean, honestly, like they're busy living their lives. A lot of people are busy trying to make sure that they make ends meet. And I gotta tell you, I can't fault someone who, after they get home from their like like second job,
Yeah.
okay, that they want to get home and they just want to watch like a little bit of TV and then go to bed and not like pick up a book and read theory, okay? I'm
Oh
sorry.
yeah.
Like
No
that's
shit.
that's kind of
Yeah.
like how people they kind of want to chill a little bit once they get home. And honestly, if you want to change that, the best thing to do would be advocating for more policy to make sure that people have more spare time so they can pursue these types of things. I mean, that's why I think I mean, for me, I've been able to research more. I've been able to look up more. I've been able to read more since I've been able to quit my job and be able to pursue this full time, because like my frogs have blessed me with being able to have the time to do this. So I want to make sure I give it back to them by actually doing it, right? And
Mhm.
then it could help them out by, now that I'm able to do this, they can go on and live their normal lives and also get filtered, and I can filter them some like decent ideas or some decent rhetoric or just different ways to think about things, and so they won't have to spend that time doing that, because the more distance you put in between someone and a good idea, the less likely they are to be able to get there, not because they don't want to, but because a lot of people have a lot of things in their life. Honestly, I would think of it a lot like a food desert, right? I mean, uh you've heard of food deserts, right?
Oh, of course, yeah.
Yeah, so like in your area, I remember there's like a place up the road, and it's called the that town's grocery store. It's a Dollar General.
Oh shit.
And like, I can't imagine grocery shopping at a Dollar General. Okay.
Yeah.
And hey, listen, another 20 minutes down the road, you can get to a Walmart. The thing is, once you get home, once you pick up the kids, once you have to do your laundry, once you have to clean the house, okay, I'm sorry, like an extra 20-30 minutes to drive, and on top of the gas. And that's just one way. Coming back, you're going to have to double that. The more distance you put in between that person being able to get what they need or even want, the less likely they're going to be able to do it consistently. And that's what we want people to be able to do. They get it like more consistently.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. I say the same thing, whether it's people advocating that you have to go and read theory, or like even people who like to talk about people who are like obese or things like that. I was like, you have to factor in so many things. Like, I don't think people are cognizant sometimes of like you just mentioned, when you have the second job, when you've got the Uber app, so you've got to work, hours upon hours. You can just clock in and out whenever you need to. If you've got like a family of four, are you going to spend time driving that 30 minutes to get to that Walmart to buy all these organic ingredients and all these like low sodium everything, or are you going to try and feed a family of four for like $20 because it gets you a full meal at some local fast food place? Like,
Oh yeah, I'm
obviously,
getting some Salisbury steaks, boys.
hell yeah,
Come on,
hell yeah.
it's a Stouffer's night.
What do you think about the gatekeeping aspect? Because that's like, I guess not something we really talked about, but like is pops up every now and then, I guess, in Twitch politics.
No, there's elitism 100%, and there's gatekeeping all the time. I mean, hey, listen, we have a lot of great ideas, and I think that we're right. Left is best. The thing is, we want more people to be on the left. I
True.
think the big problem is that once you're there, then you start, kind of, the problem is you don't want to start looking down
Mm.
on people. Honestly, I think it's real, especially if you're like a socialist or communist and shit. You never want to look down on like a working class person. Those are your people. You want to your ideology was like specifically crafted to appeal to these types of people, right? And after like centuries, obviously, of indoctrination and propaganda, a lot of people are really against it. But honestly, I mean, your ideology is supposed to reach out to those people. There's a big reason why like Bernie Sanders won West Virginia. It makes sense, and he's not even like an avowed socialist, because he doesn't look down on people. He doesn't
Mhm.
look down on people, and you just shouldn't. Even people who are I think there's very few people who are actually genuinely lost. And I think there are a lot of people, because we
What do you mean by genuinely
let's think of
lost?
it. Say again.
What do you mean by genuinely lost?
Like, as in, they are so far gone into that like sort of like a right wing ideology that there's no
Okay, okay, yeah,
possible
yeah.
way to ever pull them out. Honestly, there's someone in their life or something in their life that they can like listen to, and over time can chip away at that, and then they can, if not, I mean, obviously not like everyone's gonna become like a communist or anarchist or whatever.
Yeah.
But like you can instill some like good values in them. You really can. It just depends on like the type of person, right? There's a lot of people, if you have someone close to you, that one person that they like respect or trust or something, if they talk to them in the right way, you can get them to move on some stuff over time. You can. So I think there's very few people who are like genuinely lost. And I think you need to remember, especially with like Reupers and stuff, these aren't happy people. Okay. Like I've never thought of like Nick Fuentes as like a happy person. He's not. Okay. He's not a happy person at all. He never has been, and he never will. Booger Nick, he's not happy. Uh, a lot of these people live in like fear and in anger and rage. They're not happy people at all, and the people around them aren't happy, and a lot of them just use each other like 24/7, and they know they're going to be used sometime else, and they're running off that cruel world fallacy, and they're going to abuse someone before they think they're going to be abused. That's not a happy life. None of
No.
these people are happy. Right? So hey, remember, and some of them didn't even choose that life. Some people were born into that. So I think you should, I mean, have a little bit of compassion. And these people are suffering. Obviously, in their suffering, they're lashing out and hurting other people, and obviously that's not an excuse. But have a little bit of compassion. Think for a second. There's a high likelihood that you could be somewhere around them if you had like a partner or something who tried to instill these values in you, or you grew up in a family like this or in a place like that. It can happen to anybody.
When I watched the Nick Fuentes footage with those like the one where they're all wearing the glasses or whatever, those like rainbow ones, and they're all marching, I was astounded at how young everyone looked. So I was like, there has to be a percentage of gripers. I know this is totally off topic, but percentage of gripers who are in it for the edginess and the memes, I assume. Like, why else would you
Oh
have
no,
people
100%.
who look like
They're in the
16
edginess
there?
for the memes and for the click,
Yeah.
and for like some people who are their friends.
Yeah.
I mean, Bannon talked about this, how he went to like incel boards to go pick up a bunch of like dudes who have nothing going for their lives, and like trying to indoctrinate them into this to make their lives even worse, actually, to farm them, to make their lives worse for his own personal gain, for his rich friends and himself, and then to throw them away. And then these guys go off to like kill themselves or kill other people and then kill themselves, or like go to jail or something, or like live a life of complete like sadness without any like love, because they've been like poisoned on that sort of stuff for so long. I mean, yeah, I mean, a lot of people are there not because they're like, heck yeah, let's go be mean to Jewish people today. It's kind of like there are other things in there. Like, what, people are complicated.
No, it's true. It's true. Well, that's the thing, right? Because you've always got this one-dimensional view of someone who's that far gone, where it's like, well, yeah, I just assume that's all they do is just draw horrifying caricatures of racial minorities all day, and that's basically from when they wake up until they go to bed. One
Can
big
I ask
thing.
a question?
Oh yeah, please.
So, I remember you reached out and you were asking about like Brent 2 becoming like more dangerous or something, and I talked about like a lot of conservative values in there. What do you think about like a conservative streak? Right? People use the word reactionary, and I kind of
Mhm.
think that people kind of use the word reactionary to like put in place of conservative, but I think that gets people mad sometimes because reactionary technically means something different. But for what are your thoughts in the idea of like a conservative streak here in like our political space?
Conservative being that you think conservative maybe discourse is entering leftist spaces. Is that it?
I don't want to say like conservative discourse. I'm talking about more like conservative ideals, conservative framing of arguments, like that sort of stuff, and a lot of conservative rhetoric when it comes to deflecting criticism and things along those lines. I'm talking things like Haas's conservative communism, or especially on
Patriotic
like the
socialism.
xenogender thing.
Hmm.
Yeah, stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so I got two things to say about that. The first one being that, like, I know there's this big goal in so many different projects, media projects and stuff, to kind of have two polarizing political ideologies meet and find out where they actually have similarities. Like if you have Crystal Ball doing the thing with Sagar, for example, right? Or we do panels here on Twitch as well, where we actually have like a bunch of left wingers face up with a bunch of conservatives, and it's going to create fireworks, and that's going to be all like amazing. But I think there is something to be said about the fact that like the last election in the United States, especially, we have what, like 78 million people or close to that voted for Donald Trump. That's 78 million Americans who, obviously, again, if you are a lefty, you are like working class, you want to reach out to the broad demographics of the United States. I don't think it's beneficial to label all 78 million of those people as racist, misogynists, and that's the only reason that they wanted to vote for Donald Trump, right? I think that there's something to be said that group of people are people who feel just like everyone else in the United States, alienated, especially if you are dealing with like, I don't have healthcare, it's a pandemic, I can't make ends meet, I'm on the app economy, whatever it is. They've been told by their media outlets, if it's OWN or Tucker Carlson or Breitbart, that this is the reason why things are bad, and so this is what you have to be mad at. And what I find that is actually beneficial is when we do have conversations with conservatives, and it's not totally about just calling each other like morons or something, right? Is you might find what is the root of that? Like, why are you actually upset about this? We might share similarities. So I think that would be something that is positive in that respect. In terms of like reactionary politics or maybe discourse taking over Twitch, I don't think it takes over. I think things that are controversial or things that are edgy are always going to have an interest from people, myself included, because like it's outside of the norm. If you and me sat here and we just had a 4-hour conversation about very specific electoral reform in local districts that only apply to the comptrollers, like everyone would be like, okay, great, that was really wonderful, guys. I'm really happy you put in the time to do that, right? If you and me debated one of the many really reactionary topics that are going on right now, a lot of people would be like, oh, they're finally addressing it. They're talking about it. Yeah, okay, let's hear what their takes are, and is it going to contribute or take away? And I think that, you know, a lot of times maybe that appeal sometimes is more distracting than our genuine interest, because there are like every year I have to debate at some point or another with a whole bunch of people kink at Pride, whether it's people online on Twitter, whether it's you know, through just traditional debates, or whether it's just like talking on a panel. We're going to talk about that. It's a yearly event, and I know it's coming up, and here we go. Let's do it again, right?
I'm not touching that stuff with a 6-foot pole. Okay, listen, I'm not getting in between a gay person and a trans person about like their like parade. Okay, I've never gone to one personally. I don't have any.
You've never
care
gone
to
to
go
one? Oh, they're so much fun.
like,
oh, they're amazing.
I think it'll be okay. Listen, it's not my parade. They can have their gay day, all right. And I think like, especially when it came to like the pedo jacketing and stuff, that's pretty reprehensible. But
that's super yikesy.
Outside of that, I listen, all right. I'm not stupid, all right. I grew up in a house full of a lot of women. There's some arguments that you don't get in. That you don't like butt your head into. Okay, if you're not a part of it, then stay out. Count your blessings.
I'll be honest. On a total sidebar, as someone who's like 75% straight, they're a blast. They're an absolute blast. They really are. I would highly recommend.
You get that dick-shaped candy.
You get everything your heart desires. Oh, doggo! I didn't know you had a dog.
Oh yeah, it's Boo, Captain Stinky. Boo.
Hey, Boo.
I want to say hi, bud.
Oh, nice.
Yes,
on camera shy.
Boo, as in like Majin Buu. So B-U-U. Good boy.
Okay. Cool. But yeah, I don't know. There are times when the dialogue that's coming out I find to be super reactionary, and there are times when I'm like, okay, I don't know if you've heard that quote by Slavoj Žižek where he's like, there are certain topics, right, where it's okay to not entertain them by virtue of the fact that there's nothing beneficial to gain from us having to talk. I don't know, he didn't word it that way, but it's like, you wouldn't debate a rapist towards whether or not rape is a good thing, no matter what his arguments was, right? Even if he was like, oh, but it feels good or whatever. That was like Slavoj Žižek's quote there, right? Is it because there's no point to entertaining a discourse like that. So there are certain topics where like I find will be circulating in panels or whatever, where I'm like, I don't really see the point outside of the fact that this is going to be highly controversial for us to talk about why we're entertaining this, right? Obviously, that's come up a lot more recently because we're talking about a lot of topics that are super controversial or edgy or whatever you want to call them, like things like pedophilia, age of consent, stuff like that. Like to me, there are things like that where I mostly will avoid the discourse. I'm like, well, I'm not going to watch the panel that everyone's talking about right now. I'm not going to watch the video that everyone is going off about right now. Like to me, I'd rather talk about today specifically, like Kazakhstan or something like that. That's usually how I approach it.
And also, you can talk about the ideas without talking about the like individual person.
True.
I know that I've seen some like dumb shit from some small like conservative channels, but now that I have like 60,000 subs, I can't just pull them up on stream and we'll just like look at them the same way I would do with like a Jordan Peterson video. I just can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
And so honestly, it is better to like look at it off stream and then present it to people on stream without anybody's name attached to it. And so you can do perfectly fine debunking these issues, because these issues live outside of these people. The people are not the issues. So that's why I'm not here because of the guy. I'm here because of the ideas that they hold. And so I can completely divorce the person out of it and throw them away, and then we can talk about that there without this sort of stuff. But I do agree that there are some things that it's just like not worth talking about really, there's nothing that we will gain from that. It's kind of just like, let's bash each other over the head for the next like 30 minutes, and then we can get some sick videos to upload.
Yeah.
And we do get some sick videos to upload, but I think I I think some of these discussions. I mean, I think specifically like the pedophilia discussion. Could be a good discussion. But the way in which we engage in it as a community makes it not so. I think the way in which we've been talking about this specifically recently only makes these discussions more difficult to talk about. I made like a tweet about it, but like when we do stuff like this and then we bring these types of people on and wow, wow, that's such a funny joke. Oh, I mean, sure, they're super edgy, but like, did you get their point? They can have like some salient points sometimes, but in
Mhm.
the way in which they argue about these things or the way in which they talk about these things, it only poisons the well and it only makes everything more toxic for everyone. At
Mhm.
the end of the day, if we can have a discussion on those sorts of things and think about like better ways to deal with this sort of stuff, especially when it comes to like child abuse, you're going to have more abused children.
Mhm.
So we're sacrificing like a funny meme and like a explosive video for like actually children getting hurt, which
Yeah.
for me sounds like a bad trade.
Yeah, I agree.
But you know,
Well, I'd say what was probably the best thing to come from all this is maybe people finally having conversations about consent. And like that was the maybe one of the last things I wanted to talk to you about is that like one of the things that pisses me off is I think the idea of like masculinity, manliness, all that kind of stuff is that domain is kind of taken over by some of the worst people on the internet on a regular basis. Like I feel like it's a combination of pickup artists and right wingers who just want to tell everyone about what it is to be a man that's having your like your trad wife, your 2.5 kids or whatever it is, all that kind of stuff. Like those are the people who usually want to talk about those kind of topics on a regular basis, and that obviously does appeal to a lot of like lost boys and lost men who are online and might not feel because of for a variety of reasons. Like it's hard out there for everyone, even if you are well within a great headspace, right? It's obviously really, really difficult if your life is really fucked up, and on top of that, you're terminally
have you ever felt
online.
like that?
Have I felt like unmanly?
Have you ever do you like relate to a lot of these guys who would watch this type of content?
I've always been like I guess really fortunate in that I've never had like depression. I've never had like anxiety outside of like drug induced either of those. And so like that's not really been a huge problem for me. I've always been like really comfortable with being cis, but like I've always been very uncomfortable with other aspects, like maybe being slightly bi or other aspects in my life of being like what is it to be masculine? Because like that domain is consistently supposed to be this idea where it's like, well, you have to be strong both in physical attributes as well as in character. You cannot show weakness or emotion. You have to be supportive to women because they will be overly emotional, and that is definitely where all these categories kind of fall in and that kind of shit, right? I find like that what pisses me off a lot about that is that like that to me has never made sense as long as I've been a kid, because I've always been maybe overly emotional towards some things or really closed off towards other things, but it never really fit into what that paradigm is. And so I've always like it sucked because like it was more like a liberal thing. I think liberal media ran with this idea of like, this is toxic masculinity and this is positive masculinity, and if you are one you are the other, or that kind of stuff, right? Like there's elements of being, I think, masculine that I like absolutely adore, and there are elements that I think society imposes on you that makes it really shitty. And that like puts people up to a standard that when they don't meet it, they feel lost. It's kind of like that's where I feel maybe when I say lost men or lost boys, like people who are online who are not living up to what they're supposed to be because of that, because they've been taught since they've been kids that like you better be really good at your job, you better be really good at picking up women, and if you don't do those things, you won't be a success, and then you'll be whatever. What's the opposite of the Chads?
Virgin.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
There's our Chad, there's the Virgin. But yeah.
Is that the extreme parallels though? I feel there's got to be something else.
Yeah.
Like it's like it's either you are having sex with like 100 women or no women. There's nothing in between. Like there's no like.
Well, they're like they're obviously
like what about a Michael or something
made up
in the middle?
Right. But I mean, there's yeah, kind of. We just kind of like use those as obviously like Chad and Virgin, and that's.
Yeah, no, I know the memes.
There's like been more that come out for some other things, but okay. So for me, and because this is like this is a little bit more of my wheelhouse, okay? Because I'm not gonna say I grew up in like a conservative house, because my house has always been like pretty like liberal. It's like, be nice to people. Don't go crazy. We've always, my parents voted for Obama, and then Hillary, and now Biden. We're that house, okay?
Yeah.
But we're also Christian and everything. And there's like a painting that my mom bought on the wall, and I think and I showed it. I did a little social experiment. It's called We Do a Little Social Experiment. So I put it into my Discord with a bunch of queer people
Mm-hmm.
who were there, who obviously don't who wouldn't like vibe with this. But the painting is like like a black man, and he's in like an undershirt, as some people may call a wife beater,
Mm-hmm.
and he's like holding up like a big rock, okay, or something along those lines. And he has like a strong position. He's holding up this rock, and then behind him is like what we would assume to be like his wife, and she's like praying with a rosary, and like she has like the two kids there, and there it's that painting, right? And so I think we can all like understand the emotions and like the sort of dynamic that you would like evoke with that type of thing. And like that type of masculinity is obviously a little bit more traditional than we would like. Those types of people were like, what the fuck is this? This is cringe as fuck. I don't understand it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I gotta say, I think we go a little too far sometimes. Okay, for me
Okay.
personally, I think the trad wife aesthetic is cute, right? But I think what we're fighting for, like as a feminist and as like a feminist society, we're not fighting to remove those gender roles. I think honestly, we're fighting for people to be able to choose them, and
Mm-hmm.
also for them to be not to feel like you either need it to justify your humanity. Okay, because like gender dysphoria is not trans people don't have like and I've said this before. Trans people don't have a monopoly on gender dysphoria. You ask like a dude, like a 23-year-old, like a frat boy, okay, to put on a skirt and go outside and with like nail polish, okay. I think he would like literally the idea of him like doing that, he would vomit and he would have a panic attack. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
you just would. All right, and honestly, I understand it. For me personally, I asked you the question of do you relate to that, because I've related to that before. I've been there before in the sense that like I don't know what to do with my masculinity. I don't know who I am. You're on Tinder and you don't get any likes, and like you feel like no girls like you, and like for in the dating market, women have all the buying power, and we're just like scrambling to like pick up literally anything, because I think honestly we've done a really bad job when it comes to masculinity. We've
Mm-hmm.
done a great job when it comes to critiquing it, but you can't just critique something to death. I remember I was listening to this more like commentary channel, and he was talking about this idea that like we have these lefty channels, and then they'll debunk like these conservative channels that are like I saw like a fresh and fit like TikTok, and it was like, hey yo, you bring a girl over, okay, and you sit shouty down, and she don't want to fuck you, like, I want to fuck, I want to be inside of your vagina, girl, and she's like, no. You go, okay, I respect your boundaries, and then walk into the other room and pretend to have a call to call another girl in to actually have sex with her, and then tell her, okay, you ready to go? You ready to leave? That sort of shit is insane. Okay, that's some insane shit right there. That's some sociopathic tendencies. That is not good. All right, but like we've done a great job debunking that type of stuff,
Yeah, I agree.
but we
But then
don't build anything back up, right? So
so where do
so
you
we've destroyed it, and there are these
oh, sorry,
guys,
go.
and they look at that stuff, and they're like, okay, I don't be that. What do I do now? And there's no, and then there's just crickets.
And that's I guess my
Crickets.
next question then. So you said this is your wheelhouse. Where do you find you are trying to put that back? Like what do you prescribe?
I prescribe honestly for you to, and it sounds a little cliche, kind of like be yourself, right? And stop stressing out so much about how like other people necessarily perceive you. And I feel like unfortunately through a lot of these like conservatives and reactionaries being a part of this space for so long, we've now introduced this sort of mishmash of, I guess I know how not to sexually assault women, but also I don't know what to do around them. And then they have this like kind of like I like bad ideas about like how to get there, or not know what to do at all, and so they're like frozen when it comes to this type of stuff. Because like I have a podcast, and we're going to be starting it up sometime soon. I'm finishing the script for the next one.
Nice.
I have a podcast with Sansol, and it's called Antidote. It's my Antidote podcast, and it's a men's liberation podcast where we talk about these sorts of things, about men's issues and in men's rights. We talk about these things and debunk a lot of like right wing narratives, and help build up a positive sort of masculinity that can fit for just about every guy, and stop trying to make like this one masculinity that everybody has to squeeze themselves into, but make your own like bespoke masculinity that you can like enjoy, and start to debunk a lot of these like talking points, because I understand what it's like. I was there. Okay, I've cried about this stuff before. Okay, I've
Oh,
like
hell yeah.
gone through really big depressive bouts over this sort of stuff. I felt useless. I felt unwanted. Like when it comes to, you'll never be able to find like a girl who's going to like love you and everything, and you're going to be like alone forever, this type of stuff, 80/20 rule, you know. It's happening. A lot of guys go through it, and I think it's vitally important for us, like as feminists, as streamers, as content creators in this space, to be able to provide a positive masculinity to like build up instead of just tearing down, because they have to have somewhere to go. Like our gender, like who we are, our identity, that's how we like identify, that's how we connect with the world. And that's why the gender dysphoria thing is like really big. I think honestly a lot of these guys are experiencing a lot of gender dysphoria in a sense, in like an abstract sense. So we need to be able to build something up for to fit them, that will work with people, will not make people feel like they're like useless, or this is like a throwaway type thing, because we've been able to like destruct and restruct femininity, and now like a girl can like walk around in literally all boys clothes, and she'll still be, nobody's gonna question whether or not she's honestly straight, or like or like anything, right? There's just, oh, just some woman wearing guys clothes, that's fine, but you can't do the same and opposite and
Yeah,
feel
oh
the
yeah,
same
no,
way.
you're completely right.
We haven't restructured in a way that fits guys.
That's wild, because like I was on a panel I think once with Lumi, and they were saying like, do you ever experience gender dysphoria, or have you? And like my immediate answer was like, oh no, I've always been cis, you know, like that's one of my points of privilege. I've definitely been super cis, but like I never thought about it the way you just described. So that's actually kind of illuminating. I will say this, like in terms of in the past, one thing that did kind of break me out of that cycle that you were just talking about was changing the way I viewed, like when I was a young kid in elementary school, high school, I was like, you know, really fat, really out of shape, having a lot of trouble like meeting girls. And then, well, I was always doing the hopeless romantic thing, where I would always just kind of like, you know, fall really in love with someone and then try to like make them like me. And that's because I really had gotten a lot of my early education into, I guess, romance from like Disney movies and like television and movies. And all that shit is kind of telling you this narrative. Like if you look at the most famous like love stories of all time, like The Notebook, right? Where it's like, when you find the one, it's the one, and once you found the one, you have to do anything you can to get that person, including pretending to commit or threatening to commit suicide, which is what Ryan Gosling does in the Notebook, right? Like he hangs from the fucking the roller coaster ride, and it's like date me or I'll let go, right? And so everyone's like, oh, this is so beautiful, and then you get this idea that like this is romance, like, and you see this in like movies, like I had that
abusive tendencies romantic.
Well, yeah, that, or like you don't even realize like this is stalker shit, you know? Like if you like, that's why I said consent is something that's important to discuss too, because like if you have unrequited love, that's not love, that's just you really falling for somebody. Or if you are just consistently pursuing someone all the time and being like, why won't she text me, why won't she call me, I left like 20 notes on her back door, I've been watching her all night from my car, I've emailed her 20 times, no response. This like what is going on? Yeah. Yeah, I know. But honestly, that mindset is fucking destructive as fuck. So I would say one thing I would add is like, what really helped break me from that whole thing is that, like, you know, try to meet multiple people, and if someone doesn't like you, just move on, or like try to find someone else. Like, don't ever do that hyper focused romance is like weird pursuing, like that rom-com shit is fucking horrendous.
You're telling me women don't like a little bit of stalking as a treat?
Smiled. A crumb of stalking?
Yeah, just a tiny bit, like a modicum.
Yeah, of course. Like I'm not hanging in the tree outside your house. I'm in your neighbor's house. Okay, it's not as bad. Come on, I'm not.
Listen, I think yeah. I think there's it's really complicated, because I joke like a little, like some healthy stalking, but in the sense of like being pursued and like like trying your best and trying hard, that there honestly in some situations there can be a gray line between you're kind of going too far, you're like stalking her, to like a healthy like pursuing.
Sure, I agree with that.
Right,
but there's got to like be a very evident line that most people can be like, yeah, again, like the whole.
I think there's really evident lines, but there's a lot of gray area in between.
Yes, and nuance.
Those two things, because like one thing I remember, all right, All right. I kind of like, I didn't stalk her, but there was this girl. All right. And I thought she was really cute. And I found out that she liked me. So she was like a mutual friend with a friend, mutual friend with my friend's girlfriend. Right. So I started talking to her a bit, and she was like incredibly nervous. And so the next day I was really excited to talk to her. She was gone. Right. She didn't come in because she was like really nervous. I found this out afterwards. Okay. Her friend, which is my friend's girlfriend, is like, oh yeah, she said that she was like super nervous, so she didn't come in. She's in this room. Go get her. And I was like, you know what? I am gonna go get her. so so I went to the room, and I have class there, and I went to go talk to the teacher. Okay, and I was like, oh, Fant- small school. What are you doing here? And then we like talked, and I was able to get her number, and then we had like, I mean, we dated like a year after that. Like, there's a lot of gray area there, and I can understand how a lot of guys can feel like bad, because moving into that gray area is scary. Okay,
Yeah. Oh, of
moving
course.
into that gray area where you're now in like the weird human interaction part, where
Mhm.
you're like, you don't know if you're stalking her, you don't know if you're manipulating her, you're not sure. I mean, honestly, like assaulting her or something. There are lines there,
Mhm.
because and you don't want to, even if you're not like some like crazy right winger all righter dude, you don't want to do that to someone. You don't want to hurt
And
somebody. You don't
rejection
want to end up
fucking
as that guy.
hurts, so that's the thing.
Yeah, and the rejection
Yeah.
hurts. So
Yeah.
it's a really difficult thing. And I think honestly, the way that me and Son like to take it, as we go, here are some hard lines for things that are bad. Here's
Mhm.
some hard line things that are good, and you
Mhm.
just have to realize that when you, and we say this, and I'm going to stand by it, is that when you go out to try to get a girlfriend or a boyfriend or pursue someone, you're going to make someone uncomfortable. You
Mhm.
may even like hurt someone. Okay, but if you need to be able to do as much as you can possible to mitigate those things. You shouldn't obviously go out and start like stalking and harassing fucking people randomly. But if you go up and talk to a random person because you think that they're like attractive,
Mhm.
they can think you're a creepy fuck.
Yep.
Okay. But there's nothing that you can do about that. You can't read their goddamn mind. And you
Mhm.
have to learn that not everybody wants to be like, well, not everybody wants to date you. Not everybody even wants to talk to you. And a lot of the times you won't know until you're already there. And they're like, oh wow, well, that's so cool, man. I mean, oh yeah, yeah, and they're just like backing away. It's just like,
Yeah. Yeah.
what are you gonna do?
Yeah. And again, there's a big line between that and being like, "Oh, I just met you, dick pic," right? Like, obviously.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hey, I would add to that too, is that one of the things that I find is like sometimes people get this idea where, again, if you're either crushing on someone or you're just in love with the Stacys exclusively or something like that, you sometimes don't even realize that like there's other people who actually like you in the process. I'm saying this from like a man's perspective, but there's been numerous times where like you may really like someone and at the same time not realize that someone else likes you in the process, but you've just got this kind of blinders thing where, again, I just have to pursue the one person that I think I'm supposed to be with or something like that.
Oh yeah, I mean, you can. I mean, I think you should always have your have your options open and realize that, I mean, it may not work out. Not everybody wants to date you, and it's fine. That's fine.
Or be
Not
friends with
everybody
you
is
or talk to
compatible with
you.
everybody.
Yeah.
A what?
I said, or be friends with you or talk to you, or like that's
Yeah,
just
like they may
yeah.
not, may not even want to like look at you. Okay, and that's fine. You can't do that. You can't. You're not everybody's flavor. You it just won't work. Not everybody's meant to be friends with everybody. You just have to learn how to take that. Learn how to realize you're gonna make someone uncomfortable. Just make sure you are as safe and as respectful, and you communicate as much as possible to reduce that. Because it may not stop you from doing the little gray area you're really bothering someone, but it will stop you from going to the you're going like way too far, sort of like now you're leaving them with like a really bad story to tell like their friends afterwards, or something along those lines.
Yeah, and obviously I'm assuming that like when you talk about that gray area, you're like once it's like if it is creepy, then just stop, right? Because then like that's the end of it. There's no more. There's not more.
I mean, if you're picking up like you think that this could be creepy, honestly, I think that you should ask. I like, for me personally,
am I creeping you out or not? Yeah.
obviously it's hard to, and like I've looked at studies and everything, and people say like, oh, I love it when people are straightforward, and obviously in some situations people aren't going to answer like truthfully if you ask them a straight up sort of question,
Mhm.
like that. I think like the best thing that you can do is like add a prefix, like I was feeling this way, and add a suffix, and let them have a way out. right? And be like, it's perfectly fine if you feel this way, and that sort of stuff. So you can so you can crack the door open for them. So it's not like you both walk into a room that is like the analogy of this conversation, and you lock the door and you're standing in front of it. Am I creepy, ma'am? Like, it's not like that sort of stuff, right? So and you can that's the best that you can do. You can't do anything else, honestly. And I would say it's better to ask, right, and then to like lie and then like disappear than for then and you to have that chance to even like continue on with this and then be like, oh yeah, it was like a little bit weird, but I still want to hang out with you, and then it can turn into something better than you just be like, oh my gosh, I'm super creepy, delete her number, block her on everything, and then like freaking bolt, right?
Yeah. No, that's funny. That's probably going to be the best piece of advice. You can't do that. With that, just asking about I'm really happy you're making that podcast. That sounds fucking awesome. Just are you going to address things like what exactly it is to be like, if you're building up the idea of masculinity, are you going to try and add things to it that aren't typical for stereotypes for masculinity, or are you just trying to redefine it, or that people don't need to define themselves at all by it? Is that kind of the ethos?
I think our podcast mostly is for people who want to be masculine and want to be men. They want to be men specifically. And it's geared towards people who do want to be masculine, but it's also I always make sure to leave like some things in there for guys who want to be men, but also want to add like a little bit of femininity like in there that we would consider femininity. Like you want to paint your nails sometimes, or you want to like dress in a certain way, right? Or what's that term that we had? It's like it's like a pejorative, but it basically means like a guy that washes their asshole, like metrosexual. You like metrosexual it's literally metrosexual was made to be like, you're a man but you wash your ass, okay? You pull back your foreskin in the shower, okay? That's what metrosexual like unironically means. And I was like, that shit's insane.
Man,
all right, if you want to be like that, that's perfectly fine. That's not bad. I think honestly most women would much rather have like a dude who's like metrosexual than like some insane like lumberjack dude who hasn't taken a shower in 3 weeks because he treats his body like a pair of goddamn jeans.
Oh, I hope that's not the modern definition. I hope you Zoomers wash your assholes, Zoomers, please, all of you, wash your assholes. Doesn't matter how old you are.
And
everyone.
Wash your taint. I remember I was
and wash it all.
This, Tinder girl.
Yeah,
she said that guys don't know how to wash their taint.
Wash it all. Oh man, you know what blew my mind? Someone told me the other day that people don't know, or legs. They don't know how to wash their legs, or something like that. I was like, what are you talking about?
What do you mean wash your legs? Like, while you're washing your body, the soap just goes down your legs.
Yeah, but the idea is that they don't actually wash their legs. They're not actually like rubbing dead skin off. It's just basically like I walk in the shower and I stand there and the water washes over me and then I walk out and then that's my process. And I was like, wait, what is that? I've just always thought that people just scrub, in some form or another. But I'm learning things.
Oh, you like rub a little bit. You like rub your thighs down. You need them.
Yeah,
they get a little sweaty sometimes.
Use some soap.
It kind of be that way. But yeah, I like the idea more of our podcast is mostly because a lot of these the reason why it's called Antidote is because we're trying to give you the antidote to the red pill because it's poisoning, guys. It's poison. It's toxin. All right, you take the red pill and you become unlovable, unlikable, and completely toxic to any woman who isn't like a girl and unexperienced, or just is constantly in like terrible relationships. I've never seen like a red pill dude who's in like a serious, loving, committed, and healthy sounding relationship. I've never seen one in my entire life. Okay, it's poison. So we want to give you like the antidote to that. To help you build your own sort of like masculinity in a way that is affirming, that feels strong. A lot of guys like to feel like powerful in like some sort of way, in like that, respectable, and will have this sort of like altruistic sort of in that sort of masculinity sense, like altruistic. You help other people, you can take care of yourself, you can be connected to people in that way, and you can be like a rocker, like a structure for people's lives, but not like forget about yourself, and understand that you'll need like some anchoring, some foundation too, and make sure that you connect with other people. That sort of stuff is like the baseline sort of stuff, and some things that we talk about when it comes to talking to women, and like getting friends and being in relationships. And I think next episode we're going to be talking about how to become a master of small talk. So if that's something that you have a problem with, check out that. And we're debunking all 5 branches of the manosphere. We finished MGTOW, and the next thing I want to do is incel. After that, so that sort of stuff there. That's what it's kind of geared around to helping. I'm not going to be someone's e-daddy. And like I can't build you a masculinity of yourself. You have to do it yourself. And so I just want to make sure that they have the tools to be able to do it.
And to clean their assholes.
You have to clean your asshole. Girl, listen, women love it when you listen. Okay, let me tell you, if you're ever able to get a woman to like be with you, and she notices that you've washed your asshole, your taint, and your dick and your balls, she's like, he's a keeper.
Yep,
he's a keeper.
That's that's marriage material right there. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that I do when I get a girl on Snapchat, okay, and when we're like snapping back and forth, and you send a picture of your face, first put on a mud mask. Put on a mud mask and don't even mention it, and then take a picture of your face, and she'll be like, "Are you wearing a mud mask?" And you're like, "Yeah, I'm doing my night routine right now." And she's like, we love a king who takes care of his face. And they'll be like, "Oh my gosh," they'll go crazy for it. I'm telling you, like, if you're a straight dude, the bar is very low. All right, dress well, clean yourself, take care of yourself, like be normal and respectful and care about other people. You are now standing a head and shoulder above like what women would perceive as like their average like straight dude. Okay. You can do it.
The bar is so low. Metrosexual means washing your ass. Wow. Times have changed since my day, I gotta say. I don't know, Shark, you're really funny. I love this chat. I gotta leave. I'm signing off. I gotta go walk my dog. I hear him scraping from the door right now. Happy birthday. Please have the happiest birthdays. I'm gonna raid into you so you can enjoy all these people who are now willing to learn about ass washing.
I really appreciate it. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. I've been cognizant of your podcast, your content for a while, and it's always great to go from looking at these people and like on the screen to now I'm here and you even wanted to speak to me. So I feel blessed. So thank you.
I honestly, it was because I've been watching, like, I've followed you on whatever. You can thank the algorithm for this one. I followed you a while back on YouTube, and then recently I was just watching something that had a theme that you would also watch someone in, and so then I clicked on your video, and then it was one of those things where like I watched it and I was like, oh, that was really good, great take, and then I was like, oh, maybe I'll watch some more, and then I watched a couple others. I was like, oh, okay, well, he's got really solid takes on a lot of things. We should probably talk about, I don't know, masculinity and Twitch and shit like that. I was actually gonna have a panel about masculinity coming up if you wanted to join it. I was gonna put some people on there, and it was not like a debate panel, like a good ideas, like you just said, like the asshole washing, but the more important stuff obviously would be
washing your asshole is very important. It's up
true. All right, man, happy birthday. Have a good one.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. Take care of yourself. Okay,
bye. Thanks for sticking around, everybody. That was a blast. And that was actually really refreshing, because that was something that I have been wanting to talk about for a while, as I'm sure you all know. What with the whole masculinity aspect of Twitch being what it is. That's a good start. That's a really good start. I was really happy with how that went. Do you enjoy the Serfs but prefer not to have to use your eyeballs? Many are saying this. Well, we've got the solution for you. It's the Serf Times in podcast form. Available on most major podcasting networks now. If you enjoy it, please consider leaving a good review and feedback, because it really helps the show out, apparently, and it's free, just like the podcast.
To our gods, Xander Corvus and Peyton L. Just, we beseech thee to smite down our enemies. To our monarch, Tom Spiker, we are but your humble court jesters, here to amuse you. To our lords, Trevor R., we give thanks for this spit of land for us to eke out this meager existence. To our knights, Merid, Cheryl Alvarez, Ruby Kelly, Ellie Leslie, Alex P., Brandon, Words Greenwood, Nate, that one guy, Hagbird Celine, Matthew Scarborough, Stellar Vision, Ariane McCarthy, Daniel Sutton, Coulter Smith, Val 9000, Jenna Tall, Quiet 185, Anna Loves Riley, Omni, Riley and Anna, Poodlehawk, The Tim Caucus, Multimondi, Trevor Yanis, Lemmy 101, Anthropophojak, Cern 42, Catherine, Radical Maniac, Ramon Acosta, Nkosin, Violent Orchard, Sophie Baby, Political Puppy, Andreas Chiringuito, Zach Christensen, Josh Mickelson, Todd Buckingham, and Todd Lajeunesse. We raise our flag in a veil, and we salute you, our friends.